Hey you, welcome to the RPG show. Today we are talking about Resident Evil 7. So Resident Evil started with a fixed camera angle. It was based on the fact that it was a fixed camera where you can't look around freely, combined with tank controls. So enemy and item placement played a huge role to accentuate the tension. Fast forward to Resi 4 till 6. The shift game style, where the camera and controls dictated the serious gameplay for the next decade because enemies can dodge and hit placement was vital. So we got introduced to the third person view. And with the 7th main installment, here we are, yet again with another shift view angle. So first Capcom, make up your mind already. Is the next Resident Evil gonna be a RTS for Christ's sake? I hope not. As I don't want to beat a dead horse, this isn't a review, where I will dive more in depth with the game, but more to talk about the game shift in style. Now remember to hit that bell, like, share the video and of course subscribe so I can welcome you in the RPG family. And remember to check out my other videos. Resident Evil 7 went back to its horror roots, but was the first person view a step into the right direction? Stay tuned to find out.
Welcome to the family, son.
As Resident Evil games jumped from every view angle imaginable in the last years, the question today is, was the first person view a right decision? I can give you an immediate answer, but no. First, let me give you a brief history lesson. The fixed camera angle was a great thing on the PlayStation 1, where they used pre-rendered backgrounds, but on the other hand, you felt like you were watching an episode of Big Brother. The fixed camera was not a design decision, it was just doing the best that developers could do with the technology at the time, with the limitations that pre-rendered backgrounds allow. Code Veronica saw a little improvement with the semi-fixed camera angle because it was the first Resident Evil that used 3D backgrounds. But as the game industry changes throughout the years, they tried to switch to the third person. You know the view every freaking PS3 game was at the time? Yeah, was it because Resi 4 was so popular? I doubt it. What it sure did, that many games copied the brown color palette. Thanks for that. The shift in camera and control dictated the series gameplay for the next decade. No more would you run up a corner and get jumped by zombies. It was much more action oriented and fast paced compared to the PlayStation 1 releases. Some were disappointed how they switched the perspective, but just stating the point that Resi 4 was one of the best games in that era explains everything. But the problem was with the 5th Resident Evil. It was... how do I describe it? Would boulder be a right description?
Heavyweight! Yeah, buddy! Lightweight!
So where is the freaking horror element when your main protagonist is smashing freaking boulders with their bare fist? I don't need any weapons. Where is Albert? I'm gonna fist him.
Nani?
Fuck, that sounded weird. I should rewrite that. Anyway, Resi 6 was more or less the same. Not that the gameplay was bad, it was just too action based and lacking the horror atmosphere. But I don't wanna waste your time with the older games in this video. Let's talk about 2017, where Resident Evil 7 rolled by and we got a game changer, the first person view. Some people are still expecting a Resident Evil with fixed camera angles and tank controls, but after 20 years it's hard to think they are going to do that. Especially after releasing Resident Evil Village, which is also a first person shooter. As I'm not a fan of tank controls, I'm somewhat happy, to be honest. Yeah, you can light up the torches and impale me or whatever, but I'm simply not a huge fan of slowly and clunky moving around. The same thing with Castlevania, I worship Symphony of the Night, but I had problems playing the older games. Back to Resi 7. A good change for once is that you play it as a nobody, just your average schmuck, who is desperate to find his wife. So you are not a official military guy who punches big rocks
Heavyweight! Yeah, buddy!
or shoots rocket up zombies' asses. Nope, not this time, my friend. One of the problems lies that Ethan isn't really a guy who is charismatic, like the other characters we meet throughout the history of Resident Evil, but more corny one-liners.
Do me a favor.
they'd stay dead.
On the flip side, I like how they portrayed him as a normal dude, and you feel very vulnerable, what sets the atmosphere for shitting your pants just perfect.
Calls about some missing persons lately.
You don't understand. I gotta get out of here.
As you're running through the house with a knife and a gun with one bullet, and with the insecurity whenever you shoot Jack or yourself, made the whole game just immersive as hell. The thing is, the graphics are really nasty, sick and twisted would be a great description, but good looking and running smoothly as butter on the PlayStation 4 with many great effects. Resi 7 looks really what a goddamn horror game should look like. It has a really dark and foul look to it, and everything blends really together. Everything has somewhat of a green color palette to it, and everything seems so rotten and disturbing. But let's talk about the cat in the bag. First person. Capcom had some ups and downs from the 2000s until 2010. Resident Evil 7 was the game that revitalized the series. With everything I mentioned till this point, you see slowly how the first person was a great decision. Well, a horror game doesn't need to be a first person to be a horror game. Horror can be achieved through numerous aspects and implementations. Through the settings where it's set, the story the game tells us,
You okay?
or through the graphics. All of those things can give you horror vibe, but the thing is that Capcom nailed it with everything in Resident Evil 7. For me, switching to the first person turned the series in the right direction. You see, imagine you're hiding behind the object with the enemy on the other side. Your view of the enemy is obscured by the object and you can only hear it. You have to listen carefully to hear which way is the enemy walking and to get an idea as to whatever is safe to come out the cover or not. A situation like this is potentially terrifying and incredibly immersive, and the game is crafted around that idea. But the game is crafted around the first-person perspective. Even the way the levels are designed, the height of the objects, the size of room you explore and sneak around it, it is all done with perspective in mind. Sadly, the harsh truth is that everyone wants to see something else. Older fans want a fixed camera angle, some want the third-person view, and some wanna just smash boulders. As I'm not a die-hard fan of the series, quick disclaimer, I played from every era a Resident Evil game. And I need to say that Resident Evil 7 was the most immersive with the best gameplay. I will catch up eventually with the later games, but until now I need to say Resident Evil 7 was the best. For me at least, that's my opinion. I played also the game in VR, what is a really game changer. Sadly I didn't beat the game in VR, but only played around it for a few hours. And seeing that huge slimy thing for the first time, just staring and waiting so I can get close so could they eat me like a pork chop I am, it was kind of creepy to say at least. But nothing can compare with the chainsaw fight with Jack, because in VR you can always smell his foul breath, or as he's chasing you around the house. After playing the game in the VR you probably suffer from PTSD. Overall I hope we stick with this perspective for the next years. But I'm also interested in your thoughts about this thematic, so comment down below. Was the first person view a step in the right direction? So, thanks for making to the end of the video. I hope you enjoy it. I wanted to initially make a review of Resident Evil 7, but there are so many reviews of Resident Evil 7 that it would be pointless. So I tried to do something a bit different. I hope you enjoy it. For the next review I will probably review Kena or Resident Evil 8. I'm not sure, but you will see eventually. Remember to follow me on Instagram, share and like the video, subscribe if you didn't, and I see you in the next one. Snorky, over and out.